Hello everybody and welcome back to my Discord bot tutorial series. It's definitely been a while. It's definitely been a minute since I've uploaded one of these. It's been a couple months. Yeah, I've just been extremely busy with my IRL life, but I have been doing a lot of coding, especially with Discord bots. I've actually expanded my Discord bots and created a few more that have actually been used in, real servers. And, that's been really, really accomplishing for myself to see these actually get used. And that's what I'm trying to do for all of you guys. So yeah. I want to say thank you guys so much for the support and all you guys in my Discord server asking for me to come back and make more videos. Don't worry, I am returning. I don't know if it's going to be as consistent. I'm going to see kind of how it goes over the next few weeks, and we will see from there. But yeah, thank you guys so much for sticking around and the support, and I will definitely try to get you guys more videos. So yeah, without further ado, let's jump into today's video. So what are we going to be learning today? The big video is going to be over a calculator, and I know we've already done a video in the past over math where you kind of just did dot calculate and then you put an equation, but this is going to be a lot more interactive. So since we've already learned how to use buttons, we're going to have a huge interactive calculator inside of Discord filled with buttons, and I'll show you exactly what that looks like. So if I go ahead and do /calculator, it'll send a calculator for me, and yeah, you can see this big row of buttons, and this is a simple calculator. So if I go ahead and type 7 times 7, press equals, and there you go. It has your answer. You could clear the calculator. You could type in, as complex as you want, and it'll still give you the right answer. Oh, I put the wrong parenthesis. That's not going to work. Okay, let's just enter, and then yeah, it won't work. But let's type something that it will. Okay, let's type something complex. 45 times parenthesis. Let's use pi in there. Pi minus 3 plus 49 times 8. Let's see what that gives us. And there you go. And it even has decimals and everything. So yeah, that is a full calculator, and it's really, really nice, really useful. And obviously I'm not the best with like designing and stuff as far as how the calculator looks. You can definitely modify this however you want, but the idea is there, and that's what I'm going to be showing you guys how to do today. So without further ado, let's jump right into the code. So I will say for this video, you do have to have a little bit of a higher understanding about how Python works. And for this, we're going to have to be you have to have a good understanding with classes and how you manipulate instance variables inside of them, because that's kind of what this entire thing builds off of. You have this equation instance variable that stores what the equation is currently holding. And so every time you press a button, it adds something to that instance variable, and then obviously when you press enter, it solves that instance variable. So if you understand how that kind of works, you can probably do it by yourself. But if you don't understand classes and how everything I was just talking about, if none of that made sense, this is probably going to be a little bit more of a difficult video, and I do recommend to go watching a normal Python video to understand that first, because that is the fundamental of what's going on behind this calculator. So yeah, I just want to put that out there. This will be a little bit hard if you don't know a lot about classes. So yeah, let's jump right into it. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is actually create just a command that will actually put the calculator into Discord. So this is not going to have any functionality to it, but we're just going to get the calculator up and running. So what we're going to do is we can do a regular command, /command, whatever you want, but I'm going to do a /command for this. Let's do at client.tree.command. Let's put our name. This is the name of the command. If you don't know about /commands, I'd recommend watching my video over that. Name, we're just going to do calculator. We put a little description. Sends an interactive calculator, and they do async def calculator. This is non-side of the class, so just interaction as discord.interaction, and then now we can send that calculator. So if you look back at the actual calculator, oh, I don't have it pulled up anymore. And I've restarted the bot, so I can't see it. Let me make sure. Let me pull that back up. So, okay, there it is. So looking at the actual calculator, you can see that little box on the top that actually says begin calculating. So that's an actual text. That's the actual content of the message. So that's going to be where we kind of input our equation. So in order to do that, all we need to do is just send that as the content, and then the rest is dealt with through buttons. So yeah, let's go ahead and get on top of that. So what we need to do for that. So yeah, it's just gonna be super simple. Under here, just await interaction dot response dot send underscore message, and then it'll be the way to get. If you don't know Discord Markdown, I recommend you learn it. Sorry, but the way to get that is just by doing 3 of these grave marks. I think they're called, and then you can type whatever you want here, and then that'll send like that. Also, this is how you send code, but this is just a little tip. But if you want to send code, do like that, and then like you can see if I type for I in range 30 print I. This is how everyone in Discord sends code, but since this, as you can see, this isn't a coloring thing. If you put py right here, now it interprets it as Python and actually colors it for you. So if you ever want to send code through Discord, this is how to do it. Use the little 3 grave marks, ticks, things, whatever they're called. Put py right here, and that, and this works for anything else, Java, any language you can think of. So yeah, just a little tip for you. Anyway, so to send it like that, let's go back to VS Code. There it is. And so yeah, just 3 things on either side. And then inside, we're going to put begin calculating, or it can be whatever you want. This message right here doesn't matter. The one that is in the box when you send it. So begin calculating. That doesn't matter. I'm just going to put that. You can put whatever you want. And then there will be a view, and we'll just call it buttons. Yeah, that's going to hold all of the buttons. So let's go ahead and start creating that class. So yeah, let's go ahead and create that class. So let's go class buttons, and then we're going to go discord.ui.view because we're creating a view class. Then we're going to define the init function. This init function is, I think I've explained this before, but it is what is ran. It's the only like function that is ran automatically when a new, I'm blanking on terminology, a new object is created of that class. So anytime you create a new buttons object, which is anytime this command will be called, this init function is called. Anyway, so this won't actually be used for anything. I just kind of want to explain that. But so yeah, what I'm writing here is it will tell me that there will be no callback. So this little arrow to none tells me that this doesn't need to return anything. They just instantiate something. And then we're going to define the super init as well. So the super init is what it derives from. So in this case, class buttons is deriving from discord.ui.view. This is called inheritance. So it's inheriting all of the functions from discord.ui.view. That's why we're able to create a view class under a different name called buttons. Yeah, so anyway, it's kind of getting too much into like classes and everything like that, but yeah. So then we're going to create the timeout of none because we don't want any timeout on these buttons. And then we're going to also instantiate the expression. So the entire code is going to be modifying this instance variable. So self.expression, and for now it's just going to be empty because we haven't put anything into the calculator yet. Once you start typing something, then that'll change that. So that's the base of it. So let's just go ahead and create the buttons. Yeah, so let's create the buttons. At discord.ui.button, I think, is it lowercase, uppercase? It is, I think, lowercase. And then if you do label is equal to, so like on the calculator, you can have any layout you want. For mine, it is clear, then the parentheses. This is kind of just like a basic one. You can add whatever functionalities you want to it, but this is going to be the format that I'm going to be copying. So let's go back and let's do it based off of that. So the first button, what was it? First button is clear. So label is equal to clear, and then the color, no, the color is not here. Where do we instantiate the color? Sorry, style, that's what I meant. It's been a while since I've dealt with buttons, all right? Style is discord.buttonstyle.red, and then we're gonna give it a custom ID just so we can make it persistent in the future. Whoops, did not mean to do that. Let's put that back. Oops. You know, async def clear. It's inside a class, so we need self, we need interaction as discord.interaction, and we need button. So that should be everything. And then for now, we're just gonna do 3 ellipses, or you can put past, whatever, same thing. Because we just want to get those buttons out there, and then we'll talk about the functionality after that. So how many buttons do we want? Let's go back to Discord. We want 1, 2, 3, 4 columns of, or yeah, columns. 4 columns of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 20 total buttons. So let's go back and let's copy this code 19 more or 18 more times now. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, Alright, I think that's 20. That should be 20. Um, I hope so. And now let's just rename it. So after clear, it is the parentheses. So, whoops, did not mean to do that. The label is just going to be open parentheses. So yeah, this is going to take a while. Just go through and change the label of all of them. And then also you can copy, while I'm doing this, I'll go ahead and change the color of them as well. So to make sure they match. And then also one more thing that is important, you need to make sure they're on the correct row. And it starts with row 0. So anything on row 0 is the clear, the parentheses, open and closed, and the slash or the division. So that's row 0. Then it goes 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's only 4 maximum rows. Technically there's 5 because you start with 0. So yeah, you also need to specify that. And you specify that in the header. So if I go back to, where's it, Visual Studio Code, and you specify that right here. So obviously it defaults to row 0, but if I want to specify it to be row equals 0 on this one. So yeah, I'm going to go through, create all these buttons, and I'll get back to you when that is done. Alright, so I just finished all the buttons, and I kind of want to point out some things that are important that stuck out to me as I was going through it. So first thing is, you don't need to, but if you ever want to specify anything with button, I always specify it as discord.ui.button, because when you just pass it in, it doesn't know what class it's deriving from. So I did that. Also, so obviously you want to create your function names something that it will be memorable. You don't want to name it something random. You want to name it something that makes sense. So for this one, this is parentheses. So if you want, you can type out, parentheses. I think it's how you parentheses. I think that's how you spell it. But always probably good to keep it short so you don't have to type out huge long things. So I just did P1 and P2 for my parentheses. And then when we get down to the numbers for 7, you can see I did S7. I didn't do just 7. And the reason for that, if you do 7, Python will yell at you because you cannot have a function name that starts with the number. So make sure you're just aware of that. Because these buttons are, just numbers, you probably want to name it the number. You can either type out 7 like that, or I just did an S and then all the numbers after. So you see S7, S8, S9, that's what I did. And then, instead of multiplication, I just did multi. So yeah, just wanted to point that out. And yeah, so now if we run the code, or I think I already ran it actually, should be good to go. If I go over to, what the heck? If I go over to Discord, and I do /calculator, command should be there. And it did not work. Why did it not work? Let's go check it out. It did not work because super has no option __. Did I type that wrong? I did type that wrong. Let me fix that real quick. So that is not supposed to be super. Yeah, sorry. It's been a while since I've dealt with supers as well, but it is super parentheses dot __ init __, then the timeout. Yeah, that's right. You can see the definite. Okay, that's why the timeout wasn't coming up before. Okay, now we should be good to go. It's been a while since I've dealt with some of these things, but yeah, let's go and try it again. So /calculator, and there we go. So that is an exact copy of what we have above, except let me just delete the old one. Except obviously nothing works right now because they're just aesthetic buttons. Yeah. And if anything ever fails, it'll pop up right here, right under the row, which is kind of annoying. I wish Discord would make it where when you press on, this one, it would pop up at the bottom, but whatever. Anyway, you'll never have this interaction fail ever pop up unless you're clicking the buttons too fast. If you click the buttons like as fast as you can, then it'll pop up just because it can't handle it. But yeah, so we have it set up. Let's start adding some functionality to it. So as far as the functionality, there will be 4 functions. There's going to be add, I'm blanking, add, clear, solve, and what's the last one? Hold on. Clear, add, solve, update. Those are the 4. Update's important. Okay. So firstly, for add is going to simply take whatever button we're pressing and it's going to add that character to the self.expression instance variable that we had. And I already talked about that. And so yeah, that's going to be the function that's under every single button except equals and clear. And then we have, what else did I say? Clear. So yeah, self.clear will be a function that will clear the expression. So it'll reset self.expression to just an empty string. And then also it'll change that little box above that you can see that says begin calculator right now. That'll now say cleared. it'll do those two things. And then we have self.equals, and that will solve the expression. So that one's pretty simple as well. You just press that, and it takes whatever is in self.expression, and it runs the eval function on it, which we talked about in the math video, same exact function that we're using here. And then the last one is update. So this is how we're going to actually update the message. So when I press on a button, and so when we add a new number or a new multiplication sign or whatever to the self.expression instance variable, we also need a way to relay that every time we press a button, that needs to be updated live on the message. So we need to actually edit the message with the updated expression in it. So that was a long explanation, but those are the 4 functions that we're going through, and it'll all make sense once we're done. So the first function that we should work on, what's the first one we should work on? Probably just the add function. That'll add something to our self-expression, just because that's the base of pretty much everything. So let's go back over to VS Code, and let's create the add function. So we're going to do def add, and so anytime you create a function that is dealing with interactions or anything that deals with a separate class that is not the one that you're inheriting from. So in this case, we're inheriting from Discord.ui.view, but we're dealing with Discord.interaction. In order to edit the message, we need Discord.interaction. So in our add function, we need to take in interaction. So we do interaction Discord.interaction, or else we have no way to edit the message. We need that Discord.interaction to get the message and then edit on it. And then we're also going to take in the, you do symbol or sign or whatever. We also need to take in whatever we're pressing on each button to add to that. So under each one of these, just so I can tell you kind of what I'm thinking, under each one of these buttons, there's going to be self.add, and then we're going to throw an interaction, and then, oh, well, this one's clear, so this one's not going to have add. This is, wow, I did not pick a very good button to show on. Let's go to P1. So we're going to go self.add interaction, and then it'll be the open parentheses. And that's it. So it's going to take in the symbol as a string, and then we're going to do it here. So really, really simple. All we're going to do is we're going to take self.expression plus equals to symbol. And we can't inherit from self. This has to have self. Sorry about that. That's any function in a class needs to have self first. So self, interaction, symbol, and then that. And yeah, that should be it for add for now. There's going to be a little bit more things to add, but yeah. So now, well, I guess we can't really show it. Let's also do update, so we can update the expression live. So we're going to do def update, and this won't be called by any of the buttons, but I'll show you where it goes. So we're also going to take in, well, first self, and then we're going to take in interaction as discord.interaction. And I don't think we need anything else. So this is going to be ran inside of add, and we're going to say self.update with interaction. So every time a button is pressed, it is called self.add, and then every time self.add is called, we're calling self.update, which will update the message. Just to kind of separate it and make it more easy instead of putting in the same one. I like to separate my functions when possible to make it more clear to not only yourself, it definitely helps you in the long run if you ever get any errors, but also to any readers that are looking through your code or whatever. So def update, what we need to do on this? So on this one, we need to grab the message that we're dealing with and change the content of it. So we're going to say await interaction dot message. So interaction dot message calls back the message that the button is pressed, on. Sorry, and then we're going to say interaction dot message dot edit, and we're going to edit with, why is it giving me red line? Oh yeah, because we're not inside of a asynchronous function. So always need to be asynchronous. In order to use await, you have to be in an asynchronous function. And in order to edit a message, we have to use await. So these all need to be asynchronous functions. We only have 2 for now, so yeah. Then we're going to edit it with the content being self.expression. So inside of here, we're going to have self.expression, and you'll see this get updated live time. And I'm also thinking ahead. So every time you press a button, it has to have a response. Now, kind of. It has to have an interaction.response called in. So when I press a button right now, even if I were to come back to Discord, right, And if I were to press 9 and this were to change 9 right here, we still need to respond to it some way, or we're going to get this no matter what. So the way we can kind of get around this, instead of actually sending a response, because we don't want to respond to the button every time, we just kind of want to, press the button and kind of go away and update it itself. So we can say right above this, one sec, await interaction dot response dot defer, and that'll kind of get rid of that issue for us. So it'll really just get rid of it. We won't have to have a response, it'll just defer it. So yeah, I think that's it. Oh, also these need to be asynchronous. Call it asynchronously, sorry, which we just put an await keyword in front of it. If you don't know the difference between asynchronous and synchronous function, I also recommend you look it up, because it will come in handy to know the difference. I will tell you pretty much everything Discord related. If you're making Discord bots, it's going to be asynchronous, as that's generally just a more efficient solution. It just makes more sense in Discord bot for it to be asynchronous, so that's why all of it's coded that way. But yeah, you should also learn, just a little side thing. Anyway, so yeah, now the only thing left to do is to change, or to add these await self.adds to every single function except every single button except clear and equals, because those will have their own function. Their own function. And also one thing that I'm thinking of right now, the pi button. I've not talked about the pi button yet. I kind of just threw it in there. So the label, I kind of just Googled, pi symbol, and I put it in there, just so it looks better. But when we actually have the self.add function, we're gonna add pi, and I'm kind of gonna explain a little bit later why we do this, and I'll explain the way that we actually take pi and we replace it with 3.14159, and we actually are able to evaluate with pi in the expression. So when you press the button, it's gonna add pi into the expression, and then when we evaluate it, it's gonna evaluate pi as 3.14, so it actually makes sense. But to the user, it'll look like it's pi inside of it, if that makes sense. I'll show you what I mean later. But yeah, for that, just put pi for now, and for this, you could just Google pi symbol, or you can get it from my code, whichever works for you. But yeah, for the rest of these, they're going to be exactly what the label is. So for 9, come down here, we're going to place this with 9, and easy just like that. So yeah, I'll be back once all of that is done. So let's see if it's working. /calculator, and I haven't tested this, so we will see if this works. Did I run the bot? I don't think I ran the bot. Let's actually run the bot. That'll probably help. Let's try /calculator. Let's see. Please work. And it did not work. Why did it not work? Let's figure out why it didn't work. Oh, but you can actually see the interaction.response.defer working there. So when I pressed the button, it didn't tell me this interaction failed or whatever it says. It simply appears like the button just doesn't work at all, which is what we want in calculator. We just want this to update. But obviously that did not update, so we have to figure out why it did not. So let's go back, and it says, oh, I know. We just didn't specify what parameter we're putting in. So for functions like these, we need to have constant equals, because that is what we're changing. We're trying to change the constants, not anything else. We need to specify that. Sorry, I forgot about that. It's a weird little nuance of the edit function that you have to specify. But yeah. Anyways, now I'm going back. If I do /calculator and I do 5, yeah, there we go. So it's actually working. We're able to put in whatever you want. All these buttons should work. It's probably a good time to test every single button that you have, just to make sure you didn't, accidentally mess up one. And what? Oh, okay. It just lagged for a second. Okay, making sure they all work. It's being weird. Okay, there we go. It's caught up, I think. 2, 3. Obviously, this won't evaluate right now, but that's not what we're looking at. We're just looking at the buttons, and you can see pi working right there. So just throw it in pi, and I'll show you how to deal with that later on. But yeah, and obviously the equals and clear button aren't working right now because we haven't made those yet. So let's go ahead and work on that. So going back over to VS Code, let's make those last 2 functions. So the first one, let's work on the solve button first. So async def solve self interaction, just like the other ones, discord.interaction, and then let's say, so for solve, it's going to be pretty easy. We're just going to say self.expression. So we're redefining the expression as the evaluated version of that same expression. So we're going to say eval of self.expression. And okay, and then we have to update it. Sorry, I'm just thinking ahead. And then we're gonna say await self.update interaction. So that'll update it live. And I want to show you one error that's gonna happen with this, and I'll explain to you why. So let's head back over to Discord and /calculator. So if I were to do, so this should work right now. If I do 47 times 5, no idea what that is, but I press equals. Oh, wait, I didn't change I keep forgetting I need to add the function under the button. So if I do await self.equals, yeah, we made the function, but we didn't have any way to call it. Smart me. Interaction, and that should be it. Let's go ahead and run that. Go back to Discord /calculator. Now let's try it. Let's do something easier that I actually know. 4 times 5, 20, I think. And why is it still not working? Did I mess something up again? Hold on. Button object is not callable. Button object. Hold on. So, wait. Oh, yeah, I call this on a button. Sorry, the function isn't called equals. It's solve. Whoops. Yeah, so I tried to call a button. Yeah, never want to call a button. That never works out too well. So calculator. Let's try this one more time. No, third time's a charm. 4 times 5 equals, and we get 20. So there you go. That actually works. But I'm going to show you something that's wrong, and I'll explain in a second. So right now, if I were to do something else, like 8, it doesn't work. Yeah, it's not going to work anymore. Like this is completely broken. So the reason why, if we head back over to VS Code, you can see unsupported type for, this is the addition sign, integer and string. So what it's trying to do, so when you have the solve function, we are calling eval, which stands for evaluation, on self.expression. The problem is that the eval function returns an integer. So when I do eval of self.expression and set it to the new self.expression, so right now it's a string. When I instantiate an object of the class buttons, it's normally a string. Self.expressions is a string. But when I do this right here, I'm now redefining it as now it's an integer. So now this is now an integer. This is like saying, well, what was the answer to the last thing? Was it 20? Yeah, it was 20. So self.expression equals 20. This is just like if I were to write this. And now if you have a instance variable that's an integer, you can't add a parenthesis to it of type string, right? It's like trying to physically add, the number 20 and a parenthesis together, like trying to add them together, like they're two numbers. You obviously can't do that. So to fix this, super easy. Just make this log itself as a string. So first you evaluate it, get that integer, and then convert that integer into a string, put it into the expression so it always stays a string. You want to make sure this always stays a string, or else you're going to have issues. So yeah, now that should work. Yeah, we can go ahead and rerun that, and I can show you. Let's go back to Discord and /calculator and do 5 times 5 is 25. And now if I do something else, it's going to go right on top of that, which, that is fine if that's how you want it to work. But normally how a calculator works is when you enter something, so like when you solve for something, you get a number, then the next thing you put into the calculator is cleared of the last thing. So if I were to do 25, normally on a calculator, when I press 3, it should say just 3, not 253. It should get rid of that 25 and then put 3. So let's go ahead and make a fix for that. If this is how you want it to work, that's completely fine, because what you could do is just press clear and then do whatever you want. But I'm going to show you how to fix that first, because that's how I like to do it. So, and that's how most calculators work as well. So let's go ahead and press back to VS Code. So what we need to do is, let me think for a second. So if we solve it, okay, that's what we need. So when we solve it, we're going to change the self.expression to be back to that normal blank string once we've updated it. So we're going to update it as the evaluated string. So it's going to show up in the message as the evaluated string. But then on kind of the back end of it, we're going to set it back to the empty string. So next time you do anything else, when you add something new, it's going to add it to this empty string. It won't add it to the evaluated thing because I've, redefined it. So yeah, that's all that needs, and that'll be fixed. Okay, let's make the clear button as well. Let's do async def clear self interaction as discord.interaction. So for the clear button, so this is probably not how you're going to think the clear button is going to work. It doesn't actually clear the self.expression, at least not when you press the button. It does it later on. So when you press clear button, as you saw in my example, when you press clear, it replaces the dialogue, I say not dialogue, the box at the top. I don't know why I say dialogue. The box that holds the expression, it replaces that with the words cleared exclamation point. That's all it does. That's all the button does. And I'll show you how we actually clear it. So we're going to say self.expression is equal to cleared, and then we're going to say await self.update interaction. That is all the button does. And that technically does clear the calculator, but I'll show you the issue in a second. So yeah, technically the calculator will be cleared now. Sorry, checking something. If I do calculator, it sets it to say cleared. If I do 49 times, say I mess up, press clear. Oh, I keep forgetting. I made the function, but I didn't put it under the button. I really need to get better at that. Await. Not too good if you make it, but you don't actually do anything with it. Self dot, what is it called? Clear. Nope, not self. Interaction. Okay. Now that we've actually put the function somewhere, we can actually use it. Let's go back to Discord, calculator, and let's do, so we're typing in, I mess up, I accidentally put parentheses when I don't mean to. Press clear. How did I mess up? I'm not so good at this. How did I, what did I do? Button. Oh, okay, so I just called the function the same thing as the button, and it's gonna yell at me because now it thinks I'm calling it on the button because it's inside of the button. So I just need to call it something else. Well, I'm making a lot of mistakes today. Let's make this cleared. But the good thing about showing mistakes is, nope, not cleared. The good thing about showing mistakes is you can see my thought process through all these mistakes, and kind of, you know, this is extremely normal to have. In fact, I usually have a lot more errors than what I'm experiencing, so it's good to kind of show you guys that side of it. I don't want to make a video where, you know, I'm all super perfect and I get everything correct. I want to show you guys kind of what I think through. So anyway, 4 times I mess up. Press clear. Now this says clear, but the problem is, if I want to type something else in, it's going to go right on top of that. So the same way we did with the equals button, kind of, not really, we're going to put a check if the current self.expression equals cleared exclamation point, or whatever you set the string to be equal, and we're going to check if it equals that, and then if it does, we're going to reset it and then add whatever we want. So we're going to do that inside of the add function. Let's go to add. Actually, it's a method. Anything inside of a class that's a function is a method. I get my terminology mixed up, whatever, but anyway, this is a method, whatever. So we're going to say if self.expression is equal to cleared, then we're going, double equals, I'm not creating something. Then we're going to reset the expression, and then the next line adds a symbol. So you can see this in action. And there's so many little like features, like just like this like quality of life type thing that you can add on your own. You can make this work however you want, which is the neat part. So let's go back to Discord and let's say 78 times, and then we want to clear it, cleared. And now the next time you type something, because the self.expression currently equals cleared exclamation point, when you type something, it resets it and then adds the 7. So that's how we can, you know, actually clear the calculator. And 7 times 7 equals 49. And when I type something new, it resets it. So yeah, that is pretty much everything. The only thing we haven't talked about is pi, because right now if I do 5 times pi and I press equal, obviously it doesn't know what pi is. It doesn't know what the characters pi equal. So we need to define that. So if we go into the solve method, we're gonna create pi. We're gonna say pi equals 3.14159. And you can do this for whatever you want. If you want to create a variable, not a variable, but say you have a button for x and x equals 10, you can just say right here x equals 10. So anytime the expression has x in it, that is changed pretty much to 10. So now if I run this and slash calculator, and then I do 5 times pi, would that be like 15, right? Yeah, 15.7. There you go. So you can actually see it knows what pi equals. And yeah, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, just if you want to throw in pi, want to throw in some other variable, you can do that as well. So yeah, that's pretty much everything. The calculator is done. I'm gonna throw in one more thing. So let's say I were to, accidentally type in something wrong, and like this. So obviously this should not evaluate correctly because I have a one open parenthesis, but I don't have the other one. If I press equals, we're gonna say this interaction failed because obviously it's throwing us an error. If we go back to the console, it says the parenthesis was never closed. So I want to add a little bit just of a checker of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to come into the solve expression and we're going to use a try and except statement. If you don't know what it is, it's really, really useful and you should learn about them. I use them all the time. So pretty much what it does, it's pretty self-explanatory. It'll try to run whatever code is under your try statement, and then if that fails, then it runs whatever's under the except statement. So right now it's going to try to evaluate this. If it can't, then it's going to run this code. And you can also throw in an exception right here, so it'll only run the code if it's a certain exception, which I highly recommend because that's just good practice. It's not good to catch every single exception in your code. For this case, we can. It doesn't really matter because it's okay in some situations. Like for this situation, all I'm going to say is your expression is invalid, which is good because when I'm trying to evaluate it, if there's any error with the evaluation, I want to throw an error. I don't want it to have this interaction failed. So with every single error that happens, I'm going to say await interaction.response.send_message, and we're going to say this expression is invalid, and then we're going to make it an ephemeral. I think I say that ephemeral. I honestly have no idea. We're going to say that ephemeral is equal to true to make it where only you can see it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And one thing to note, since none of this is indented under either of these try or except, they're going to run regardless. So right now, if I were to run this, if you get an invalid expression, or if the expression is valid, it'll reset the expression back to blank, which, that's probably what you want. But if you don't want that, you can just make this say return await, so it won't run any of the code below it, or you can just take this code, put it right here, put it right there, and that works as well. But I'm just going to leave like this because I kind of like how that functions. So yeah, let's go ahead and show this. So this should be the final product of it. If I do /calculator, let me show what I was just talking about. So if I do 87 and then a parentheses and I press equals, we say this expression is invalid. And now if I go to type another expression, it'll reset. No, it did not reset. It should. Oh, I put return await, I think. So okay, anyways, so now you can clear it and then you can retry. 78 times 2 plus, plus pi equals, and you see it all works. So yeah, that is the calculator fully done. Like I said, there's a lot of just little tweaks and little things you kind of need to think of that could happen, and you'll kind of learn about these different things that happen as you go through code. And that's the beautiful part about coding. You're always going to run into mistakes and you have to figure out how to solve them. Debugging is one of the biggest challenges that a coder will run into, but yeah, I think that all of you guys can do it. So yeah, this has been a pretty fun video to go through. This is definitely something a lot more advanced, but I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'm going to keep trying to get more videos out. I really want to, but just kind of been really busy. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this one because I know this was highly requested. A lot of you guys did want to see this, and I'll keep going through the video ideas in my Discord support server, and I'll be helping out there much more often and push out content that you guys actually want. I think the next video is going to be over a new hosting service that I've been using for my bots, and it's been really, really well. So I definitely want to do a video over them. Yeah, stay tuned to see who the hosting service is, and yeah, that's going to be really good. It is paid, but I think you guys will enjoy it. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out.